Welcome back. This is an Aleks training video on predicting the strength of intermolecular forces from an electrostatic potential map. An electrostatic map is just showing you how intensely that the charges are to one side or the other, so how polar they are. So if you don't have any colors, any reds or blues, so blue is going to be positive, the positive side, delta positive, and the red, delta negative. The higher that number, so like a big delta positive would be really deep blue, a lower blue would be, a lighter blue would be a lower delta positive. Same with the red, a light red would be a low number delta negative, and a bright red, intense red would be a large number. Okay, so all of these guys are going to have dispersion forces, and we've already done some work with that. We know that the bigger the thing is, the more you're going to have more dispersion forces. Okay, so the strength of that intermolecular force is higher when you have more dispersion forces. So let's look at just A, B, C, and D just for dispersion forces. C is going to have the lowest, okay, because it's just one. Then B is bigger. There's more electrons there, so it'll have a higher dispersion force. And then what do you know? A and D are going to be equal in how, because they've got the same number of atoms, same kind of atoms, and so they're going to have, I don't know what they are, but they're basically equal in dispersion forces. So you already know that C is the lowest, B is the next highest, and then A and D are somehow bigger. Now, the other thing you have to see is that there's dipole forces. Remember, there's polar forces. If the whole molecule has a left side or right side that's positive or negative, it'll attract to its neighbors more. Okay, so look at A. I've got one side of the molecule red, one side blue. So that's polar. Okay, so that's absolutely polar. What about D? There's colors on that. Does that mean it's polar if it's colored? Well, what's happening here? I've got blue in the middle, red's on the end. The red is tugging, okay? Can you see that the red is actually tugging at the same all the way around? And most of this is going to cancel out. Like the bottom red on the right is going to cancel out most of the top red on the left because they're pulling away from each other. So it's like tug of war. Same thing with the other two. So the top is going, even though that it's not as intense, is still one side red and one side blue. That's polar. So number one will be the highest, or A will be the highest. This will be number one, highest. Okay, what's the lowest? Well, the lowest would be this single guy. So this would be 4, lowest. That means this will be 3. And the last guy will be 2.